Look!
I think that's what we're looking for.
Looks like there won't be another insect war.
Excellent observation for a retard.
If you've never stumbled across Lexx at some ungodly hour on late night telly, then you've missed one of the strangest, cheekiest, and oddly charming bits of sci-fi ever flung into the cosmos. Imagine if someone took Red Dwarf, fed it something mildly illicit, gave it a frankly ridiculous budget for CGI by 90s standards, and then told it to stop taking itself seriously altogether. That, in a nutshell, is Lexx. Right, let's go through all 4 seasons like a proper telly binge with a cuppa, though you might want something stronger. Season 1. What on earth is this then? The first season of Lexx, technically a series of TV movies, is where everything feels a bit experimental, like the creators are poking the universe with a stick to see what jiggles. You've got a misfit crew, Stanley Tweedle, essentially the least qualified hero in the galaxy, Zev, later Zev, who's equal parts innocent, and well, distractingly not, Kai, a dead assassin who delivers every line like he's reading a particularly gloomy instruction manual, and the Lexx itself, a giant living spaceship that eats planets, as you do. The tone, utterly bonkers. One minute it's dark dystopian sci-fi, the next it's veering into absurd comedy. It doesn't quite settle, but that's part of the charm. You can see early hints of what makes Lexx special. It's unapologetically weird, a bit naughty, and completely uninterested in playing by Star Trek rules. And yes, even early on, the show makes it very clear it's not shy about nudity or suggestive humour. It's less tasteful HBO drama, and more someone's had a pint too many and decided to make sci-fi. Somehow, it works. Season 2. Now we're getting somewhere, and it's strange. Season 2 is where Lexx really finds its groove. If Season 1 was testing the waters, Season 2 jumps in head first, does a cannonball, and splashes everyone within a 5-mile radius. The episodic format lets the crew bounce from one bizarre planet to another, each with its own oddball society. One week, it's dystopian bureaucracy. The next, it's something that feels like a fever dream after eating dodgy takeaway. This is where the comparisons to Red Dwarf really kick in. Both shows thrive on dysfunctional crews, stuck in space, relying on humour and personality rather than sleek heroics. But where Red Dwarf is cosy and cheeky, Lexx is, well, a bit filthier, a bit darker, and far more likely to involve someone losing their clothes for no particularly good reason. Stanley remains gloriously useless, Kai remains gloriously deadpan, and Zev, well, the show leans heavily into her designed-for-love backstory, which leads to plenty of eyebrow-raising moments. It's all very over the top, but it never quite crosses into feeling mean-spirited. It knows exactly what it's doing, and it's winking at you the whole time. Also, the CGI, let's talk about that. For the late 90s, this was pretty groundbreaking telly stuff. The Lexx itself, a giant insect-like ship, looked genuinely impressive at the time. Sure, by modern standards, it's a bit video game cutscene, but there's a charm to it. It's ambitious, and you can't fault that. Season 3. Things get properly weird. Now, Season 3 is where Lexx decides normal storytelling is overrated and instead gives us a sort of cosmic duality, fire and water. Yes, literally 2 planets, 1 fiery hellscape and 1 watery paradise, orbiting each other like some sort of philosophical pub argument. This season is more serialised and a bit more thematic. It's still funny, mind you, but there's a slightly darker, more surreal edge. The characters go through stranger arcs, and the show leans harder into its bizarre mythology. Kai, being undead, continues to be the most reliable bloke in the universe. Never late, never emotional, probably because he's technically a corpse. Stanley continues to be the opposite, and Zev continues to, well, continue being the show's most let's push the boundaries of late-night TV element. The nudity and suggestiveness are still very much present, though by now it feels less shocking and more like part of the show's identity. It's not trying to be classy, it's trying to be outrageous, and frankly, it succeeds. Season 4. Wait, are they on Earth? And then Season 4 comes along and says, right, what if we just plonk them on Earth and see what happens? It's a bold move, and honestly, a slightly divisive one. On the one hand, it gives the show a more familiar setting, which makes some of the satire a bit sharper. On the other hand, you do miss the random planet-hopping madness. Still, it's very funny in places. Watching these utterly bizarre characters try to navigate something resembling normal society is comedy gold. It's a bit like dropping the Red Dwarf crew into EastEnders and seeing who survives. Spoiler, probably not many. The tone here is lighter again, more comedic, and occasionally even a bit self-aware. It feels like the show is having a final laugh before wrapping things up. Final thoughts. A cult classic with a cheeky grin. Lexx isn't for everyone. If you like your sci-fi serious, polished and full of noble speeches, you might find it a bit much. But if you enjoy something that's willing to be daft, a bit risque and completely unpredictable, it's an absolute gem. Its similarities to Red Dwarf are clear. Scrappy crew, comedic tone, sci-fi setting, but Lexx takes everything a step further. More bizarre, more provocative, more did they really just do that? And for its time, the CGI and visual ambition were genuinely impressive. It didn't always land perfectly, but you've got to admire the effort. It aimed big, even when the budget might have said, steady on. As for the nudity and over-the-top elements, yes, there's quite a bit of it, but it's so baked into the show's identity that it feels less like cheap shock value and more like part of its weird anarchic sense of humour. In the end, Lexx is like that slightly dodgy mate who tells outrageous stories down the pub. You're not entirely sure you should be laughing, but you absolutely are. And honestly, the universe is a bit more fun with something like that in it.